It is summer soiree time. I am Pat Sloan and we are on block number 2 of our summer soiree. So what is the title of this block? It is called Meet Us At. Here's the pattern and here is my block. Ta-da! This is so fun. I have some good tips for you today on how to do this one. First of all, where is your summer soiree going to be? That is today's topic. Where will you have it? The traditional definition of a summer soiree is an evening event in a private home. But we are expanding that. One of our friends on the Facebook group, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, said her neighbor calls his a barbecue soiree. So see, you can have any kind. A picnic, evening, a daytime. You can have it at a home, a park, an event hall, depending on how your event is and what kind it is. So we're celebrating that today. And when you share your block, if you have some place that you've held your event that's particularly fun or interesting, tell us about it, because that's what makes this a lot of fun to go all the way around. So let's look at how I picked the fabric. I'm using just the one bundle of fabric and I'm auditioning with different options. Let's take a look at that process that I went through. I have all the fabrics here in the bin. This is block 1, and so for our Meet Us At block, which is this one, here we go, facing you, we've got a bigger piece showing here, then a lights on the end. I put a lighter piece in here and then another piece in the middle. It doesn't have to be darker, but for the diagram, that's what the shading is, so you don't get it confused with this one. So let me just leave this over on the side there so you can see it. I am going to use the light here as my background, the background fabric. And then I wanted to use blue, so I went through the blue options and I decided to pick one that has a little bit more on it versus like this one that reads more tone on tone. I wanted to have one that's got more color, plus it's got little pops of red. Now the next piece of this is a light, and that's where the auditioning is really important. So I am going to see what lights work. So I put that one on first, and honestly it's fine, but it doesn't have as much contrast as I want, because in this piece there is a lot of light. So anywhere this one comes, it can kind of bleed into the next shape, and it's not as sharp a line as I'm looking for. So let's try another. Here is one that has a pop of black, and I really like that pop of black. I like that blue black together, but let's see what else I have. So this is another one I auditioned, and this is my favorite because first of all, it's got the neat vertical, so that I can fussy cut that and have those lines all, going the same way. But it also has a really sharp contrast. So when I'm looking at this fabric is not blending into this one visually at all as this one did. See? It's a huge difference to me. These two are more blendy. Okay, the next part then is a center, which is small. It's not going to be a big visual, but it's going to be a nice pop in the middle. So red, of course, is always a good option. There's a couple of reds in this line. I just pulled one of them. But what about something else? What about something very soft? What about yellow? There's a yellow, and then this one has that same, vertical line. Or what about tone on tone? So this is pretty. It's very soft. Or I could pull black. There's a tiny little black dot here, and block number 1 has the black in it. So I could pull black in the middle, which I think looks really awesome. One of the interesting parts about this project, I was thinking, well, what if I put black in all 12 blocks? Although I only have 2 fat quarters of black, and then one that's not reading quite as black. So I have like these 2 blacks and this one, which doesn't read as much black. So I'm not sure about putting black in every block, because that means I'll have to go buy more fabric, and I'm just thinking maybe I won't do that. So let's look at green. Bringing in another color. So on this block there is green actually in the leaves. So I like the idea of bringing in another color. as much as the yellow did, but it's it's stronger. So I like this green. So here's another green option. And this is my favorite. So I am going to sew with this grouping. I think that it's going to be, this is going to be it. Or as you already saw, it was it. That's what I picked. I want to show you how I got this fabric here to be the direction that I want it for this block. Let's take a look. So this is all sew and flip. So you're doing sew and flip corner here, you're doing sew and flip for this light, and then for your center. So I'll first show you the just auditioning. So if I have a light on the corner, so this would be just, you know, how that outer corner is going to get developed. And then if I cut this block, I'll just press this with my finger here. So if I was going to cut this block just off the fat quarter without doing any kind of fussy cutting, the direction of this line goes, you know, along the edge of the block. And if I fold it, it still goes, you know, it goes along the edge of the block. It's not going pointed like in my head. And even if I switch the order, it's never going to go pointed. It'll go now the direction of the block this way, but it's not going to change to be, what is that, perpendicular? I don't know if that's the right word or not, but let me tell you, you have to cut the square fussy cut in order to get it, there you go, side by side. You can see them. You know, one is cut on the angle, which is the one I'm going to use. Because if I use this one on the angle, I'm going to bring the block in here, I will have all the points going in this really pretty form, and then as they go around, they touch each other and make this, you know, other design. And then eventually this green will go right in the middle. But in order to get this fussy cut, see them? Fussy cut, okay? I'll show you what I do. And there's probably lots of other ways, but I found this to be kind of the easiest for me. Is I took one block, and you could just take paper if you wanted, or you could draw this on your fabric if you wanted, but I have one block that's not the direction I want, and I lay it on the fabric so that I have the direction I do want. So I have to put it on angle, on point. And then I just put my ruler on top of that, and you could oversize it a little bit and then come back and make it the 4.5 inch. I'm just putting it right on the edge like it will be. And then here I can sort of pull it away and do the other cut, and then pull it out again. See, I'm at 4.5, then pull it out again and do the last cut. Or I could take it off at this point and be sure that I have 4.5 like this. Voila! So you do have, when you're fussy cutting, you will have extras, so save those for your crumb blocks or your scraps. So I have to do 2 more of these so that they're on angle, and then sew it up. I have this first round of sew and flips done, and these are all pointed towards the center. So they're all the blocks that I cut angled, versus if I had cut it as you know, straight of grain. They would have been going this way or this way and not right to the point where I wanted the lines to go right to the point. The next will be adding the green, so I can get a little audition of what the green looks like. So it'll be a green pop like this in the middle. I do have to trim these. Let's take a look at one of them. Neither side has been trimmed yet. They both have the under layers here. I usually just use my regular ruler. I will take and put it on the seam. So here's the seam, and then I will trim it 1/4 of an inch. Now this will give you a bonus. I will then use this as a start and stop for my sewing, and it will create a half square triangle that I'll either maybe keep for the back or for around the label, maybe if I wanted to be fancy, or I'll put it in my bin of extra blocks, and then I will do the same on the back, on the outer one. So you have 2 to trim on each block before you go and put the green on, and then this of course will be a much smaller half square triangle. All right, let's go put the green one on the line here. This is the one we're doing, not on the outside, on the inside one. Final block, and remember, I always give you a little pattern that, you know, layout for how you can use this block as a full quilt or a table runner or a table topper. And so I really like this one. I played around and I put it on a drop repeat. So instead of being side by side, they're dropped like a half a block. And I think it really looks really cool, and it's a side by side setting, so there's no sashing. So this will be really fun with this one. This one is 20 blocks for a lap size. Now a couple other things today. I have, first let's talk, before I talk about the layout, so hold on, we'll talk about the layout, but in the book today, the part I want you to read about is monograms. Oh my gosh, she is so funny talking about how monograms are putting your letters of your last name, your first, your middle, and your last name, maybe some other combination, but she has a whole thing about how monograms are a Southern thing. And I had to tell you that it was a very long time in life before I really understood or knew or saw monograms. I'm a Northern girl, even though I live in Virginia, and a lot of people will say Virginia is the South, but once you live in Virginia, the Southerners don't consider us the South. You can ask. I've asked lots of you Southerners. I go, is New Jersey in the South? And they're like, is Virginia in the South? And they're like, no. Southern Virginia is more Southern, I will say. But the whole section on monograms, and she even has, look at this. Look at the cute bookmark, right? I have that in that set of stuff. But look at the blanket with the embroideries, or a quilt with the embroideries. I have to see, and it shouldn't really quite exactly say what that is, but it looks like maybe a receiving blanket. It's so darling. Okay, wrap this up. I am giving you the layout today. The layout is multiple pages. So you will have all the directions, just like any layout. It's not just one page. Last time people got all excited and they printed one page and didn't realize all the directions were right behind it. So I'm trying to be sure you know that. So what you want to do, at least this is the way I'm going to approach it, is I'm going to take my background fabric and cut all the parts that I need from it and put it in the Ziploc marked as a background. That way I will know how much of this fabric is left for the other 10 blocks in the sew along. That way I can freely use it and know that I have already cut everything for my layout. So you might want to take that approach as well. All right, my friend, time to pick your location for your summer soiree. It's going to be fun. I love you. Mwah. See you online.